Hello crafty friends, it's Donna here from Donna is Playing Paper. I have a Slimline card to share with you today in which we're going to be making our own bouquet. There are some beautiful bouquet stamps on the market, but some of them come with a very high price point. So I'm going to show you some tricks and tips for creating your own bouquet from smaller stamps. Our two feature stamps today are Lydia's Blooms and Helen's Blooms, and they're both from Paper Rose Studio. I'm going to colour these flowers with Copic Markers. So first I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink to stamp them all a couple of times. I have a new to me set of sentiment strips called Rainbow Poppies, and I thought I would use some of the pinks from that rainbow set to help me choose my colours for today. As well as those pinks, I'm going to add in some yellow to brighten it up, and also the surprising choice of that B32, which is the complementary colour. You'll find it on exactly the opposite side of the colour wheel to the pinks. Now at this point, I believed myself to have done a really clever thing for my viewers, and that is to line up all of the images that I'm going to colour, write down the colours used for each of them, and work from left to right. What I'd forgotten is that with the camera directly overhead, and with the crazy death grip that I hold my pens in, that you wouldn't be able to see me colouring very well on the left-hand side of the screen. So I've cut the first two flowers fairly heavily, but you can see between each colour how much I filled in, and from the next flower onward you can see everything. I'm going to mainly focus on the large round flower because that has the most complicated shading. I've also learnt some important stuff about camera angles that I'll carry with me for the next video. We're going to cut these flowers out exactly on the lines, so actually there's no need to colour neatly. Once I finish with the Copic markers, I'm going to go back in with a couple of pencils. First of all, a deep navy, just to deep on all of the cracks where that back layer will be sitting behind. And then I've got a burgundy that will just help blend that blue out so that it's a seamless transition back to the Copic marker. Few little finishing touches, and then we'll start assembling the card. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to cut almost all of these pieces out exactly on the line. I cut fairly slowly, holding my scissors still and moving the paper. Once everything is cut, I'm holding my Memento Tuxedo Black marker and drawing around the side of the cardstock. It's amazing what a good job this does of making you look like a professional cutter. Only one of the pieces is not going to be cut out this way, and that's that little sprig of blossom, which has a lot of thin stems. I don't think this would stand up to that kind of cutting, especially just using scissors, and so I'm going to leave a small white border around the edge. Okay, let's make this card. I'm using a Slimline envelope and card base from Paper Rose Studio, and I'm going to add an extra background panel. This embossing folder is called Hand Stitching 1. It's too small for my piece of paper, but because it's geometric and the pattern repeats, I can still work it. What you need to do is first emboss as much of the panel as you can. Then flip the paper around and just slide it around a little bit until you feel it slot into place with the embossing. Then you can close the folder again and run it through the machine again. Both sides of this panel turned out beautifully, and I had quite a bit of trouble deciding which way up to put it. I'm going to pop up the panel with foam tape and put that onto my Slimline card base, and then I've arranged the flowers to make a bouquet. I've worked from the largest flowers in the centre out to the more delicate flowers on the outside, and I've tried to work in threes. So you can see that there are 3 large flowers, 3 yellow flowers, and 3 smaller pink flowers. I just played around until I found something I was happy with. I've used a piece of Glad press and seal across the top of my arrangement to hold it all together. Then I've been able to use the press and seal as a little hinged door for putting everything down. I found a place on the background where there was no bouquet. I've pressed that down firmly, and then I'm going to open and close the press and seal, starting with that as my hinge. I'm then adding glue to whatever I can see that is furthest to the back. That is, when I look from the back, it's the pieces that I can see all of. You need to be a little bit careful when you peel up the press and seal, especially if, like me, you haven't waited for your glue to dry in between. But it's a great way to organise things once and have them stay how you like them. My MISTI stamping platform comes in very handy for holding everything in place until it dries. Finally, I just need to add the sentiments. You'll be most surprised to know that I have both found and used my T-square ruler to align the sentiments. I'm going to leave you with some close-up photos of the cards, including a couple where I've tried to grab the texture of that embossing folder. I hope that you've enjoyed this card and that you're inspired. and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Feel free to like this video and to subscribe. If you're interested in anything that you saw in the video, it will be linked in the box below in a couple of different regions, so hopefully you can find it without too much postage cost to yourself. Bye for now.